when I look back, my junior year of high school, I had a job working at JCPenney, and I quit working there because I needed to, I was doing track at school, and so I didn't have a job for a long time, and it got to the point where my parents were like, listen, like, you need to find a job doing something. And so I really wanted to work in a ministry setting, because I knew that was something that God had called me to, was ministry. So I kind of just like really, really procrastinated on finding a job and wasn't really looking around, just kind of babysitting. And Brian came to me and was like, hey, I'd just like to talk about this internship. And I literally went running from the top of our house to like the lowest level where my mom was sitting. And I was like, Mom, this is exactly what I prayed for. Like, it's an opportunity in ministry that aligns with gifts that I have already received, but that I can also grow on, and there's opportunity to like expand that too. So it just really lined up with everything that I felt like I was praying about, and perfect opportunity to really try out ministry in a safe setting, but also a risky setting at the same time. The biggest thing that God taught me was that I can stretch a lot farther than I thought I could stretch. Red, White, and Blast was kind of the first big thing that I did. There were 10,000 people on the campus, and I knew that going into it. And that was kind of scary, but I also knew that I had leadership abilities that had kind of been tested before, and I love like organizing things. And so I was able to take what I knew and just stretch that a little farther, but then I had the backing of everyone behind me. And then I just think of so many other times that I led worship that I had to stretch out of my comfort zone. And so it was cool to see myself get through that and make myself stick with it, because it was part of the job description, but also knowing I'd come out as a stronger leader on the other side because I was willing to take that risk. God provides in really big ways. There were several times where I just wasn't sure kind of what my next step was going to be, or even just when I think back to the opportunity to do the internship in the first place, that I could never have imagined this being a thing. As Pleasant Valley's first worship and arts intern, I never would have been like, oh, that's what I'm shooting for, because I didn't even know that was like an opportunity. But then when I can take a step back and just pray about it and really seek out what the Lord is asking me to do and asking me to take a next step in, that's where He works in the biggest ways. And He teaches me about myself, and He's utilized that opportunity for His glory in other places. And so really, if I can just take myself out of the picture and just let God take control of that, He will every time, and it's always going to be better than anything I could have imagined. There's so many like funny things that have happened. I think I'll always look back on Taco Tuesdays with the staff, and that's not just one thing that I remember as a standout, but I do remember just like going to Taco Tuesdays and laughing about silly things that it was just an opportunity where I could be with the staff and kind of be a part of the community of people who are all passionate about church and about the gospel being spread. But it was out of the building, and we just kind of laughed about the silliest things. But those are the things that the general church doesn't get to see, that it's real people here, and they're growing together and creating this community together, that then that spills over into the way that we can lead others, because we can build each other up and support each other. So I started this fall semester at Spurgeon College. I'm majoring in interdisciplinary studies, so I kind of tell people it's like double majoring without doing the double major work. So Christian ministry and business classes are kind of my plan right now. And then still plugging in with ministry around PV, so worship ministry across the board, from Cross Street, student ministry in the worship center. But I'm also leading a group of freshman girls in community groups this fall. So that'll be a slightly different leadership role, but still engaging in that way. As I step into this new season of life, I would just ask that people pray for God's hand in all of that, that I would step back and continue to let Him be the main focus of the story, but also that He would reveal His more specific call to ministry. I know that He's called me to ministry, but I'm not sure exactly what that'll look like going forward. whether that be worship ministry or any kind of ministry. And so if people would just pray that God would reveal kind of the more clear picture of ministry that God's got for me, that would be awesome. If going into ministry or an internship is something that is presented to you, don't say no to something just because it's scary or because you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, because I had a very, very broad picture of my internship, and for me, I like to plan ahead, and so that was a little scary, but I learned so much about myself and about God and all of that I think just don't say no, give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You can always go back and try something else later, but if you can give it a try for once, you can grow through that regardless of whether you do that again in the future or not.